So the Swiss bribed Donald Trump by giving him a block of gold and a Rolex desk clock, and that is how they got their tariffs reduced. So that's official bribery now. Bribery has now got the rubber stamp of acceptability in Switzerland and the United States and probably many parts of the world. Meanwhile, Canada is not doing anything like that, and Canada hasn't formed any new deals. We have our still existing USMCA trade agreement with the United States and Mexico and Canada, which apparently is being mostly abided by. Then there's those other things that Trump has put these tariffs on, and people have chastised Mark Carney, saying, "Oh, he hasn't formed a deal. Everybody referring to a trade agreement as a deal, I guess adopting Trump's language. But we've been very strategic in Canada, and I don't know if people are paying attention, because Carney said some time ago that this matter was going to go to court, and we're waiting for it to go to court. And the hearing has now taken place at the U.S. Supreme Court, and the judges that were clapping back were asking very legitimate questions about whether or not the president has this authority. Now, since then, Trump has, because he's realized that this is not going well for him, and we're waiting for a decision now from the court. He has said that he's going to give $2,000 to every American in 2026. The issue really came down to what Trump's trying to accomplish now is to set it up to make the court the villains. He's trying to set it up to make it look like when the court rules against him, that it will be so messy, that it'll be so ugly having to pay all this tariff money back, and that it will essentially, bankrupt the country, and nobody's going to get their $2,000 check. This is what he's trying to accomplish. Okay, so there was a strategic end game. You should note, Doug Ford's ad with Ronald Reagan was also strategically placed just before the court hearing. So Canada is not messing around. We're not forming any deals. And these countries that form deals, those deals may exist beyond, if they've signed some paperwork on it, right, may exist beyond that court decision. So these countries that have been running out to sort something out with Trump may have done themselves a great disservice by forming some deal, like the UK went out and formed some deal. Is that deal going to continue to exist after the court rules against Trump imposing tariffs? Probably. I mean, why wouldn't it? They voluntarily put pen to paper. Just because it was quasi-extortion and Trump's tariffs were illegal doesn't mean that the deal that they signed at that point is not something that is enforceable. So strategically, Canada has been waiting, and Carney said this at one point, Canada has been waiting for the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on this. And when that decision comes, and I don't know when it's going to come, but when that decision comes, at that point, we'll have some certainty. We'll know whether or not Trump's got any of this power to do this. And at that point, we can start looking at trying to come up with some new arrangement for the tariffs. But as it stands, him imposing tariffs on things like softwood lumber, on rolled steel, on aluminum, could all be illegal. And all of the tariffs paid by the U.S. companies that bought, of course, would have to be paid back. The damage to Canadian industry will continue to have existed, but it may just turn it around and, of course, be a sudden boom for orders for Canadian products. But again, this instability, as people have finally started to note, has caused huge damage to the U.S. economy. And the U.S. economy is in crisis. A bunch of states, mostly red states, are apparently in a recession already. We need that decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. But Canada has been strategic. Canada is not trying to bribe him. Canada is abiding by the law, right? That's what we're supposed to do. And Canada has been smart. Well, I suspect, because I've got a pretty good feeling that the court is going to rule that Trump does not have the power to impose tariffs, that is the legislative branch of the U.S. government that's got the power for taxation.